रश्मि जी, आप अपनी इंट्रोडक्शन दें।
As you know, my name is Rashmi Sharma. I completed my engineering in 2007 from the Institute of Engineering and Emerging Technologies, Delhi. I am from Mandi district. I am married and I have a 5-year-old child. After I completed my engineering, I worked in IT department, IT industry for almost 12 years. In 2020, I left my job for the family care, and after that, I started preparing for the services. And this will be my last attempt.
How do you feel that if one shifts from one subject to another subject?
So when I started preparing for the services, then it was a shift from the scientific perspective towards the humanities subject. So earlier it was a bit difficult for me to understand the approach, how we read the humanities subject. However, later point of time I started enjoying it because I had not read the history of Himachal Pradesh, which I read during the preparation, as well as the perspective of the humanities subject. Like we have multiple aspects through which we can learn about a subject.
Do you know something about human psyche? What is this term?
In my perspective, human psyche is something I think which is influenced by his environment, and the major impact is by his background or the socialization through which he has gone in his childhood or during his adulthood. So that impacts his psyche, the way he thinks and the way he tackles the problems in the life or the approach he follows.
What are the powers and responsibilities of an SDM?
Sir, SDM has multiple roles and responsibilities. Major roles involve the revenue functions, in which he has responsibility of maintaining the land records, and most of the public property related to the land. He takes care of those things, as well as he is the main person who takes care in case of if there is any major disaster in the districts. So he's the first person who has to respond to those things. Other than this, he or she is kind of a connection between the government and the public. So
What is the forest area of Himachal Pradesh?
So according to the latest survey, which happened in 2019, the total area is approximately 68%, which is 39,000 something, approximately
37,947, right?
Right.
So, as per SDG, we want to increase the forest cover. How much?
The target is to increase it to 30%, and
By
it is
year?
2030.
And what are the steps undertaken by Government of Himachal Pradesh in the field of forestry or the schemes?
Himachal Pradesh followed two kind of approach. One is through the application of the schemes, and the other is through the community participation. So they are trying to involve the local people so that the plantation process or the schemes which they are implemented can be implemented successfully, because the local support is very much required there. Other than this, there are few schemes like One Mahotsav is being celebrated to create awareness regarding the importance of environment and forests, as well as we have Ek Buta Beti Ke Naam, which combines two goals of gender sensitization as well as the protection of the environment. We have Kempa, if I'm right, Kempa program is also there, which is increasing the forest cover in Himachal Pradesh.
And climate change. Recently, COP was held, 26th COP. Conference of Parties, where was it held?
It was held in Glasgow.
And our Prime Minister gave Panchamrit. What was it? What is it? 5 steps.
Yes,
5 steps.
right.
Panchamrit.
I don't remember right now that much. But the main theme, which was actually based on those 5 steps which he suggested, was to the cooperation among all the stakeholders. The different countries should involve and create a dialogue with the local people and try to save the environment. That was the basic motto of the 5 steps. I do not exactly remember the steps, but this was the
And steps taken by Government of Himachal Pradesh to curtail climate change.
There are multiple steps which they are taking. First of all, they are trying to promote the crops which are climate resilient. And other than this, for the climate change, they are Himachal Pradesh Pollution Control Board is trying to implement strict measures to control the pollution in the industrial areas like Bandi. And other than this, I think this is something which is coming to my mind.
Rashmi, what qualities do you have which you think are required in this job?
So there are actually multiple requirements I think which is needed in the job. So the first thing which I think is there in me also is the integrity. So that is the foremost important thing. Second is the leadership quality. Third is empathy. So these three things are most important which might be required for the job of the public services.
I think all three are not that much required.
So I think there are multiple
I
other
think decision making is more required. Obedience is more required. Do you have those qualities?
Yes, sir. I think leadership is something which involves the decision making also, and there are other attributes also which.
You see, you leaders are already there.
Right.
You'll have to follow them. Don't you think so?
So in these services, definitely we have leaders who are there, but I think somewhere when we are holding a position, we also hold a position of leader to our subordinates. So my boss will be leader for me, and I will be leader for my.
That is the case everywhere.
Right. So
Not only in this service. There is a boss, there is a subordinate, and you are leader on the subordinate. I am also leader because I have one or two subordinates.
I think the positivity or the kind of the smooth functioning which is required that might need some qualities from an individual also. So these qualities will be there in any individual who is working on a particular position, then that will definitely help to improve the public services.
So tell me, if you get into this service, prior to this, how many people were in their team? If you ever headed a team?
Last position which I was holding was a technical test lead. So at that time I was leading a team of 6 to 7 members.
6 to 7 members. Now, if you come into this service, you will be posted most probably as a sub-divisional magistrate. Okay. The police will be under you, entire department, right? Revenue department will be under you. You will be heading, at least 100, 200 people, and that too Sarkari people. Do you think you will be able to manage those people with the experience of just managing 6 people? Can you handle a SHO?
I think that these definitely it would be a challenge because earlier it was a much smaller team as compared to the one which I might get a chance to relate. But I think this depends upon the kind of training they get, and we have our seniors there. In case if there would be any difficulty, I will be definitely assisted by my team members as well as my seniors. And other than this, I think, a good amount of experience in leading the people. It doesn't really depend upon how much size of the team is there. If you have the qualities, I think then that can be, you can improve those one. If you are unable to handle anything, you would be able to improve those things through the trainings as well as the help of the other members. So in the end, it depends upon the qualities how we proceed further.
Okay. Tell me one thing, what is an NGO?
So these are basically non-governmental organizations which work for the people, and these are not something which is which are actually organized by the governments, but these are some volunteers who head these particular organizations. So they basically work as a bridge between government and the people. So they
Bridge
work
between government and the
people,
okay.
the local.
So why do we need them? If we have a government, why do we need a non-government thing?
There are actually several issues which are not directly can be taken up by the government. First of all, we have a very large population. There are multiple ethnicities in our country, people with the different beliefs and everything, and their needs. Education level is different. Different class of people exist. So everyone has a different set of problems and issues. So those things can be taken care by the civil societies, and the NGOs work in that direction. Like sometimes they work for the education or the women health or the
So
issues
you
like
think the
poverty.
government is not capable of doing these things? That is where these non-government entities are required.
Not exactly, sir, because I think NGOs are helping the government to govern better, because they are the one who approach government with these with the problems of the people, because everyone might not be able to directly touch with the government or the people in the government who are sitting there. So these people, they collaborate all the things, all the problems, they discuss with the people, they try to find out some solution and then approach government with the possible solutions. They are also the ones which works on the voluntary basis, and they try to unite the people of the civil society and get.
How do they generate money and resources to do all these activities?
So they might be funded by some organizations or some private organizations. There are NGOs which are also held by
Okay,
the
tell me, what are the latest technological solutions which you learned in your association with NGOs, which can be used for public service?
So when I was working in Infosys, I was associated with the NGO Arpan. It was working for the underprivileged children's education and the migrant children. So what we used to do is there were few volunteers from the Infosys. They used to go daily to the areas of slum
No, what
areas.
are the technological solutions you have identified?
Yeah, so as part of that initiative, we tried all the technologies. Like first of all, we used to maintain the data of children. What are their basic problems which they are facing in the education system? So we made a list of that. Then we used to see how many children are attending the classes. We used to get all the information regarding those children. What are the subjects in which they are lacking? So we used to assign teachers to them. If someone is very good in the studies, then they were promoted in the studies, and the private tuitions were provided.
Where is
to them.
technology into this? I
So-
can also make a list even if I'm not in Infosys. List बनाओ, teacher assign करो.
So actually that thing can be done by, definitely can be done by any ordinary person who is not even into some technical jargons. But the MS, like we were using MS Office. So MS Office, simply we put the names and data into that, but we have some other coding part was also involved in that, in which if you try to search something, it will automatically show how many children are there who need a particular training into a particular subject, and how many are currently doing their studies, how many children who are not attending the classes. So those kind of functionalities we used in that particular subject.
Okay, tell me one thing कि रुपए की वैल्यू as compared to US dollar बढ़नी चाहिए या कम होनी चाहिए या कुछ भी नहीं होना चाहिए?
सर आई थिंक इफ अगर हमारे पास अगर इसकी कम वैल्यू है तब भी हमें थोड़ा बेनिफिट है, क्योंकि हमारे एक्सपोर्ट्स जाते हैं. जैसे IT इंडस्ट्री इज द मेजर बेनिफिशियरी ऑफ दैट व्हेन द रूपी डिक्लाइंस एज कम्पेयर टू द डॉलर. हाउएवर अगर ये बहुत ज़्यादा कम हो जाता है तो ये हमारे लिए अगेन एक प्रॉब्लमेटिक चीज़ हो जाएगी, क्योंकि हमारी चीज़ों की वैल्यू इंटरनेशनल मार्केट में फिर कम हो जाती है. तो जो लोग प्रोड्यूस कर रहे हैं वो उनको उतना ज़्यादा उसका बेनिफिट नहीं मिलेगा. सो एक स्टैंडर्ड आई थिंक कि एक स्टैंडर्ड ज़रूरी है कि जहाँ पे एक मिडिल लेवल पे वो अपने आप को बैलेंस में
बनी रहे जहाँ पर है वही बनी.
थोड़ा सा और ज़्यादा हो जाए. अभी थोड़ी
बढ़नी नहीं चाहिए क्या?
बहुत ज़्यादा तो नहीं सर, जब तक
ठीक ठीक बढ़नी चाहिए.
अभी कुछ सही रहे, क्योंकि अभी हम डेवलपिंग इकोनॉमी है, तो हमें एक थोड़ा एक्सपोर्ट से भी हमें फ़ायदा हो उस चीज़ की भी रिक्वायरमेंट है. बट हमारे इम्पोर्ट्स और ज़्यादा महंगे ना हो जाएं, हमें उस चीज़ को भी देखना पड़ेगा ताकि वो इन्फ्लेशन ना कॉज करे.
सेल्फ हेल्प ग्रुप और NGO, इन दोनों में व्हाट इज द डिफरेंस?
सर सेल्फ हेल्प ग्रुप जो क्रिएट किए गए थे, ये किए गए थे नाबार्ड के द्वारा, ताकि हमारे पास जनरली जो वुमेन हैं उनको घर से बाहर निकाल करके डिसीजन मेकिंग में लाया जाए. तो ये एक इनिशिएटिव नाबार्ड का था, और अब तक हमारे पास काफ़ी सेल्फ हेल्प ग्रुप्स हैं जो काम कर रहे हैं. मेजरली ये रन किए जाते हैं वुमेन के द्वारा, और उसमें वो फाइनेंशियल इकोनॉमिकल डिसीजंस भी लेती हैं. इसके काफ़ी सारे बेनिफिट्स हुए हैं. अगर केरला में देखें तो हमारे पास कुटुम्बश्री एक इनिशिएटिव था जो शुरू किया गया था, वो सक्सेसफुल रहा है. NGO थोड़े से फॉर्मलाइज्ड वर्जन आ जाएंगे जिसको फॉरेन फंडिंग्स भी मिलती हैं. सो ये बेसिक डिफरेंस है इनका.
Recently, what were the issues being faced by NGOs?
So सबसे बड़ा इशू which was faced in the recently was the contribution made by the foreign funds. So Indian government has actually amended the Act FCRA, under which they were funded. They allege that few funds are being used for not for the interest of country, and they are used by anti-social elements. So, however, this also created a funding crunch for the NGOs, so they are unable to proceed further with their work.
Right. So, Ayushman Bharat policy. Tell us something about this policy.
So Ayushman Bharat,
Scheme.
Ayushman Bharat scheme was launched to provide a universal coverage of healthcare. So this was basically started by government to cover all the poor under a particular set of amount, that is 5 lakhs. A 5-member family would be provided with a cashless treatment in any hospital. There's a list of the hospitals in which they can get a cashless treatment. So this was to lower down their out of pocket expenditure, which was very high for India.
So, some of the health metrics of Himachal Pradesh, like IMR, MMR.
Yes, sir. So recently the reports came out which shows that Himachal is doing well in the maternal mortality ratio, and it is leading to decrease that mortality for the women. Currently it is less than 100, however our target is to make it lesser, more lesser, and compete with the very good states like Kerala, which has 23 out of 1 lakh live births.
And tell us some of the schemes that are being undertaken by government of Himachal Pradesh in the field of health.
So HimCare, first of all, the HimCare is there, which is providing again the cashless treatment. This
How
the
is it
first.
differentiating? How can we differentiate it from Ayushman Bharat?
There are few people which were left out from the Ayushman Bharat, so those people will be covered under the HimCare scheme. Like we have the people who are working in the, who are cooking the midday meal schemes, or we have Anganwadi workers, so they are included in this scheme.
Both below the poverty line and above the poverty line are included.
I'm not sure about this, but I think it is the below poverty line who are covered.
Extra money is taken for that. Okay, next, some other schemes.
For the healthcare, then we have Pradhan Mantri Matru Suraksha Yojana. We have Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao. So these are the schemes coming to
If we talk about the minorities, what are the steps undertaken for their welfare in our state?
In Himachal Pradesh, first step is taken for the students. So they are being provided with a scholarship, pre and post scholarship. Other than this, they are also being trained into some technologies. In some new vocational training is being given to them. Third one,
What is the difference between Schedule 5 and Schedule 6 areas?
Schedule 5 areas are Assam, Tripura, Mizoram. 4 states are there.
Assam, Meghalaya, Tripura, Mizoram.
So these states
They are Schedule 5.
They are in Schedule 5.
And 6?
In 6 we have other scheduled areas of the country which are included in the Schedule 6 part. So they are provided with special privileges, and a special extra budget is also provided for the development activities.
Some differentiating factors like councils, articles. Okay, you told it in the opposite way. Schedule 6 is in Northeast area, right?
Sorry.
And in Himachal Pradesh, we have single line administration. What is this?
Single line administration, the concept was provided to provide a good governance in the areas which are secluded from the mainstream. Like we have single line administration in the Kinnaur and Spiti areas. So single line administration, the main head, the DM, is the person who takes care of all the things. So all other members or other government servants who are posted there, they report to the DM.
Okay. And what are the areas in Himachal Pradesh under this?
I think Kinnaur, one of the regions is Kinnaur. I'm not sure about that.
Kinnaur is big, so specific. Okay, we are talking about education. Tell us something about new education policy.
So the new education policy, which is launched in 2020, it aimed to create India as a hub for the education, and we need to and also want to improve the quality of services provided in the education. So multiple exit and entry options are provided in the higher education, as well as the time of the period of education is also increased. Now they have included it from 3 years upward. So the Anganwadis, which were earlier taking care of the children, they will also be providing the education now from 3 years onward. Plus, the system of 12 years of education has been changed to 5-3-3-4 format. So now, special scheme, special procedure will be established for that. Other than this, till fifth standard, they will be providing education in vernacular languages, and a three-language formula has again been pushed into this scheme.
So many steps are being undertaken. Still, we see like SR report. What are the problems in our education system?
Sir, I think the problems are the one which are leading to the solutions. So the problems currently which we are facing in the education system is the teachers, the education quality. So teachers' education is definitely which needs to be updated from time to time. Trainings needs to be updated. What are the requirements and how the things are changing? So those things need to be inculcated in the training modules which are given to the teachers. The first thing is that. Second is that there is a lack of trained staff in the scheduled tribe areas also. If we see, we do not have very good number of teachers who are employed in the scheduled tribe areas of Himachal Pradesh. Third thing is that the government, there are in Himachal Pradesh, most of the kids are studying in the government schools, because if we see 90% Himachal population lives in the rural areas. So most of the education needs are taken care by government. So the quality sometimes being compromised because of the strength of the students in the class. So they have very less number of teachers as compared to students.
You being the mother, and how do you think that this child care is to be taken?
So I think child care from most of our society, we think that this is mostly the mother's responsibility. I think, but for the holistic development of a child is very important. The support of the father as well as grandparents play a very important role. Like if I take my case, because I was earlier I was working and then I was into the preparation phase. So most of the time I had to give to either my job or to the studies. So at that time, the gaps which were created by my absence was filled by his grandparents. So I think because he had a close connection with the parents, so he had learned many things from the experience of my in-laws.
In your mind, what are the special steps which you will be taking if you are selected in this service?
So first thing is the education sector. Because I think education is the most important thing which is currently is the need of the hour, and especially for Himachal Pradesh, because most of the in Himachal we see most of the children are enrolled in the schools. So first thing is that we need to work on our younger generation, because they will be the one who will be leading our state in few years. Second thing is the child rights, because we see these are mostly ignored by the people. If we see the number of cases in the POSCO or the abuse on the child, so that cases are increasing day by day. So it doesn't mean that those cases were not earlier existed, but right now the reporting of the cases has been increased. So we need to make some laws for the children. Third thing is that firstly the education, childcare, and the women right. Because women mostly get opportunity to study education, but however they are not very much promoted in the employment sector. So they do not have much opportunities available in the employment sector, as well as the support from the families.
What is glass ceiling effect?
Glass ceiling effect exists in the societies or organizations when women are not promoted from a particular level. So there will be a large number of women who will be in a particular level of the services, but after that there will be less promotion given to the women. We can see from the reports, like in most of the countries and worldwide, we have only less than 10% women leaders who are leading the big organizations. So that's a glass ceiling effect which does not let them go up in the hierarchy and take major responsibilities.
Missing women, we are hearing this concept. Missing women.
Missing women, I think if I missing women concept, I think it was discussed in our economic survey. So it was related to the women who are not allowed to take birth. It was related like the women are the girl child that is being killed in the womb itself because of her gender. So those are the missing women who are not present. However, according to the our nature, they should be there in the society.
There is one concept of sun meta preference. What is this?
So this is something which is related to the birth of a child, son, given preference given to a child if he's a son. So in our societies, the preference is given to sons. So most of the time they wait until the son is born. So many unwanted children are born, and mostly those are girls. So that is something related to son meta preferences.
There are so many policies being implemented by the government of India, or for that matter of the state. But still, we discuss so many problems. And still, they are prevalent. Why? Why the schemes are not giving the right fruit?
I think, sir, they are, but it is taking some time, because if we see that we cannot generate awareness and the changes immediately in the society. If we see in 1947, when we got independence, at that time Himachal Pradesh's literacy rate was 6%, less than 6%. In 1971, it was only 33%, and if we count the women education, that was way below the required standards. However, if we see now, so that has reached to 82% of the in the literacy rate, and the women are 75% literate in Himachal Pradesh, which is very good percentage as compared to the other states. So it is working, however, it is taking some time. So policies are implemented, timely changes and the timely evaluation of the policies is very much required.
What is your take? Where the problem lies? Is it just that we are moving in the right direction, just things will take time, or there is some catch? The policies are there, but still the implementation is not proper. Why?
I think the implementation, first of all, there are some loopholes which are used by the people. So excessive bureaucratization can be understood as one of the problems, which is taking time. Red tapeism is the problem, because the centralized things, if something is very centralized, it takes time to get approval from the government sector, or some schemes are being implemented.
And how to redress these problems?
So first of all, these things can be improved by the digitization. So government of Himachal Pradesh as well as India is taking such steps. Like recently, there were many portals launched for the fast one window, like for the approvals, we get single window clearance. So in that case, there is only one place where you have to give your application, and all the related required submissions will be done, and then you will get required confirmation, and those projects will be passed immediately by the single window clearance systems. The Himachal Pradesh Forest Department has also done this, and the industries which are currently coming to Himachal Pradesh are also provided such kind of solutions. So this is something which is speeding up the work.
What is e-governance?
E-governance is related to the electronic kind of electronic things which are helping to improve the governance. So e-governance includes, like, we have mobile applications which are helping to smooth the functioning of the government or any other organization which is using them. Like Himachal Pradesh has applications. In the COVID time, we had application in which people used to apply and get the confirmation over the mobile itself. So that is something which is e-governance.
Good governance. Define good governance.
Good governance is something which is effective public administration, in which whatever the public services are being provided, they are reaching to the needy, and those things are effectively implemented. So that can be said as a good governance.
There are 8 major points which are discussed in debate.
Right.
And do you know them?
Accountability, transparency, service related.
Corruption is a big problem. How can we tackle it?
Yes, corruption is definitely a very big problem which is globally faced by many countries. So if we see the Transparency International, India was placed very below in these rankings. So the India currently is working on many fronts to remove this. So one of the front is again the digitization part, in which accountability and transparency is being increased. RTI Act was provided, so the knowledge was given to the public so that they can get all the information, and there is no scope left for the corruption. Third thing which can be implemented is, like, we have a right to education, in that every person is being educated, and we want to increase the literacy rate so that everyone is aware of their rights.
Okay, can you tell me how many people in India pay taxes?
So exactly, I am not aware of the ratio.
Any idea? Rough idea?
So if I take a guess, I think it is only 10%. I'm not sure though. But I think the rate, the ratio of the people who are paying the taxes is very less. I'm not sure about that.
Why it is so?
The first thing is that because we have a lot of, we have an informal sector, and most of the taxes which are coming from is only from the people who are working in the service sector, who are actually enrolled in they have PAN cards, so that's why they are under the government scanner, so they are the ones who are paying the taxes. But that people in the service sector is very low, percentage is very low.
How can we bring them under the radar
So there are
to
many.
extract taxes from them also?
There are very ways which currently government is implementing. Like one of the method was the policy they implemented was the GST. So because of GST, recently we saw reports that Himachal Pradesh was able to increase its tax base because now most of the businesses are coming under the GST. So first thing was that. Second was changing the tax structure because right now we have a very complicated tax structure. So people avoid paying taxes by using many loopholes. Third thing was the financial literacy because people think that paying the tax is a waste of money. So financial literacy is very low. So that is the third reason.
See, around 2% people pay taxes in India. Right? So why not waive off that also?
Sir, I think that in that case it would be very difficult to run the nation because the taxes are used for creating the infrastructure. The roads are being created. So we have a large population which is living under the poverty. Which
No,
is
we can collect taxes through indirect mechanism also. This is the direct tax. Only 2% people are paying taxes. Why not waive off that also? Only 2% out of 100, 98 are not paying taxes.
But sir, if we see the ratio of the taxes, the revenue generated by the direct taxes is greater than the revenue generated by the non-taxes. Non-tax sources are not very significant for revenue generation. That amount is not very significant. So we cannot, I think, quash the direct taxes.
Can you tell something about eco-tourism policy?
So ecotourism policy is creating a kind of that environment in which is sustainable, and it helps the local people to generate the employment opportunities and their livelihood, as well as generating revenue for the government. Plus, the tourists who are coming to take a good experience, they are also getting a good deal. So, ecotourism is something which is being promoted by Himachal Pradesh government to promote its tourism.
You like watching old Hindi movies.
Right.
Why only you are specifying on Hindi? Don't you watch the other movies like I would say English or other?
So yes, sir. I watch most of the movies, and I have seen movies of other languages also, and with the subtitles. But specifically, it is something which I whenever I get time because I had very less time due to the family responsibility as well as other things. So whenever I get time, I prefer watching old movies. But I have seen movies from I think all parts of the.
Okay, who's your favorite director? Like you watch old Hindi movies.
Sir, I think I like the work done by the Hrishikesh Mukherjee because the way he made movies, those were very humorous. Plus, they were also giving some social messages. So he was a very intelligent director, I think.
And your favorite movie?
I think Chupke Chupke, I would say. Chupke Chupke
Why?
was a movie. It was a comedy, light comedy, and it can be. I think we can sit and watch that movie with our entire family. So that was
Over the period, how these movies have evolved? What's your evaluation?
So, particularly from our perspective, we see. I mean, with the perspective of Hindi cinema,
Right.
then we can see that in the earlier times when they started making movies, those were mostly socialist movies because at that time most of the directors or the story writers, they were mostly the revolutionaries or impacted by the socialist ideology. After that, it started more than the art. It started going towards the business, and that has right now that has become an industry. So for industry, they need to make profits. So for that, sometimes they might not be very idealistic, but they want to generate the revenues for themselves. So there is a quite change, as well as the technology has also advanced from the earlier times. So we see a some kind of very technologically advanced movies now.
How do you see a sociological impact of these movies on our society?
I think the sociological impact we talked about, so they had made a huge impact, not only on Indian society but also on our neighboring societies. So women empowerment is something which was a positive result from our movies, because if we see a few movies in the Hindi film industry and also in the southern industry, they had made very powerful female characters. So those have made a positive impact on our society. Other than this, I think they have also made an impact on the in the art side, because India is considered as a kind of a soft power for India globally.
We talk about commodification of women in the movies. So it's a phenomenon that's occurring. How it can be tackled or curtailed? What's your take on it?
So definitely, commodification of women is done in the movies if we see. However, there are some other things also in movies also where we see the positive movie characters or the very powerful characters of the woman. But in these cases, I think the first thing is that the censor board is there. So if they see that there is a lot of commodification, then they definitely apply some cuts to those movies so that the wrong message do not go to the public. Other than this, there are many film institutes who are training the people, because they are the one who are professionally handling the people who will be further going in creating or producing new movies. So the positive impact through those awareness or education things can definitely change the mindset of the people who are making the movies.
Talking about mindset, we always say, look, everything is there, but still the mindset is not changing. Patriarchy is there, mindset is not changing. What practical steps, two practical steps that can be undertaken to bring a change in the mindset?
So I think first thing is that the employment. Because I think if someone is sitting idle, then he would not be using his productivity very efficiently. So first thing is that if we want to decrease all these problems, then employment needs to be promoted so that everyone has a work. And this can be done through the education and the skills. If we are rightly skilling the people and they are going to the industry and they are earning good, then they definitely will not be a disaster, demographic disaster for us, but that will convert into a demographic dividend for us.
Okay. That will change the mindset. How it will change the mindset, giving jobs to people?
When people will have money, then they will be having a good standard of life. They will be living a good life. Their children or their family members will have benefits of health, education, and good schools. So in that case, I think the burden of the people will be shared by the government. They will be having a social security. So in those cases, there will definitely be a change in the mindset, because this can be seen if we see in the developed nations. So they have gradually grown into such an open societies. So that we can also expect that the one day, because if we see our constitutional makers has set some goals for us. Right now, we all have our rights, freedom to religion or freedom to express ourselves. But in the future, they have said that we should try to make a uniform civil code in the country. So in that case, we will be able to create such mindset that all the people will be following the same kind of rules and everything.
It was really pleasant talking to you.
Thank you, sir.
All the best.
Yes, sir.
थोड़ा सा आज थोड़ा सा मैंने अभी तक स्क्रीन्स वगैरह कुछ देखी नहीं है, तो आई थिंक वो थोड़ा सा कम हो रहा था। प्लस थोड़ा ट्रैवल किया है, तो आई थिंक स्टार्टिंग में थोड़ा मैं उतना अच्छा ध्यान से अटेंड नहीं कर पा रही थी।
नहीं, हमें तो कोई ऐसे लगे नहीं प्रॉब्लम। डूइंग वेल, बी कॉन्फिडेंट, एंड आई थिंक देयर विल बी नो प्रॉब्लम।
So I think your body language is good. You are relaxed. कोई ऐसा इशू नहीं है। आपके हैंड गेस्चर्स जो हैं they are also ठीक है, बिल्कुल ही ऐसे अकड़ के नहीं बैठे हैं।
Controlled
You are,
अच्छा लग रहा है।
It should be like a conversation which you are doing it very well. थोड़ा सा बैठने में आप जब बैठो तो पूरा पीछे बैठ जाओ। It will be relaxing for us. जब भी बैठो पूरा जहाँ तक पीछे सीट है ना वहाँ पे बैठ जाओ, फिर वो अनकंफर्टेबल नहीं होता और आपकी पोजीशन भी ठीक आ जाती है। ठीक है, बाकी आपके आंसर्स थॉटफुल हैं, ठीक है, विच आई एक्सपेक्ट एंड मे बी जो सिलेक्शन वाले हैं दे वुड एक्सपेक्ट कि आपके आंसर्स थॉटफुल हों, ठीक है, लेमैन आंसर्स ना हो। आपके पास अगर किसी मुद्दे पर आप बात कर रहे हो, वुमेन एम्पावरमेंट या आपके पास ना एक बेस होना चाहिए जिसके आधार पर आप वो बात कर रहे हो, और एक विजन होना चाहिए कि उस काम के लिए आप ये चीज़ें करना चाहते हो। इफ़ यू कम इनटू दिस सर्विस, ये चीज़ का थोड़ा अपने ध्यान रखें, ठीक है। किसी भी मुद्दे पर आपका एक व्यू पॉइंट, एक विजन, स्ट्रॉन्ग पॉइंट होना चाहिए, ठीक है।
स्ट्रॉन्ग व्यू पॉइंट में मतलब फैक्ट्स भी बीच में।
स्ट्रॉन्ग का मेरा मतलब है कि क्लैरिटी होनी चाहिए आपको। स्ट्रॉन्ग ऐसा नहीं कि स्ट्रॉन्ग का डायरेक्ट मीनिंग तो ये होता है बिल्कुल रेडिकल टाइप का थॉट, नहीं वो नहीं मैं कह रहा। मैं कह रहा हूँ कि क्लैरिटी होनी चाहिए। जैसे वुमेन एम्पावरमेंट का आपके पास क्लैरिटी, यू हैव अ रिपोर्ट, वो रिपोर्ट है, उसके आधार पर आप ये चीज़ बोल रहे हो, और उसका सोल्यूशन एज पर यू इज दिस, वो मैं कह रहा हूँ। स्ट्रॉन्ग ऐसे बहुत स्ट्रॉन्ग पॉइंट नहीं रखते।
आपको मतलब कॉज को जानना, उसको इवेलुएट करना, फिर उसका सोल्यूशन था, उस पे फोकस आपका हो कि कॉज क्या है और उसका सोल्यूशन क्या हो सकता है इन माय माइंड। उस पे अगर आपकी कन्विक्शन हो, क्लैरिटी हो, एंड आई सी दैट यू हैव गॉट।
हमने अलग अलग चीज़ें ट्राई करी, जिसमें इंसान को बैठा के रैंडमली कुछ भी पूछ लो जो एक्सपेक्ट नहीं कर रहा है, ठीक है, आपने थॉटफुल होकर आंसर किया, क्योंकि जैसे आप कह रहे हो शुरू में थोड़ा आंसर नहीं, तो उसका ऐसा नहीं, ऑब्वियसली हमने एक रैंडम सी चीज़ पूछ ली जो एक्सपेक्टेड ही नहीं थी, है ना, कि कैसा क्वेश्चन है, जैसे ये कैसा क्वेश्चन था, बट स्टिल यू आर एबल टू आंसर दैट, वो चीज़ हुई। फिर दूसरी चीज़ पुश करने की कोशिश आपको, है ना, स्टार्टिंग में पुश किया मैनेजमेंट वाली चीज़ों पे कि नहीं नहीं कुछ नहीं हो तुम, है ना, कि ऑब्वियसली हैव डन सो मच इन लाइफ, स्टिल आपको हम पुश कर रहे हैं कि क्या हो गया, इतनी सी टीम है और इतना बड़ा काम कैसे मैनेज करोगे। लेकिन वो जो एक बैलेंस होता है ना कि हम्बल भी रहना है और आपने पुश बैक भी करना है, क्योंकि अपना पॉइंट तो रखना ही है, तो बहुत अच्छे से रखा, ठीक है ना, ये चीज़ बहुत अच्छी थी। क्योंकि हाँ, हम्बल रहना भी जरूरी है, लेकिन आपको अपने आप को रिप्रेजेंट भी करने के लिए मैंने काम किया है। एक जो अपना आइडिया होता है ना, अपने आइडिया को ऐसे नहीं ये गलत है बस आप ही ठीक हो, आपने बिल्कुल ठीक किया। जैसे होता है ना कि कई बार हमें अच्छी चीज को हम ऐसे पोर्ट्रे कर रहे होते हैं कि नहीं वी वर ट्राइंग टू पुट वर्ड्स इन योर माउथ, क्योंकि दिख रहा था कि ठीक है बच्चे को क्लैरिटी है, बच्चा कॉन्फिडेंट है, तो वर्ड्स डालने की कोशिश की जा रही थी, बट आपने वो पिक नहीं की। ये एक अच्छी बात है, ये बहुत आपका पॉजिटिव पॉइंट है। बाकी एग्जाम्पल्स जिससे मुझे होती है, फैक्ट्स थोड़े लेट आ रहे हैं, है ना, अगर आपने याद किए हुए हैं ना, जैसे मेंस में लिखते हैं तो बोलो उनको स्टार्टिंग से ही ना फैक्ट्स को थोड़ा, क्योंकि हर एक एस्पेक्ट पे फैक्ट्स तो याद कर ही है ना, बस उनका थोड़ा सा यूजेबिलिटी, सर्वे है, बजट है, आपने पढ़े हैं, आप उनका अच्छा यूज करें, और ये जरूरी है। कई बार हम बोलते हैं ना कि इट्स नॉट अ टेस्ट ऑफ योर नॉलेज, ठीक बात है, बट हाँ अगर आप फैक्ट्स यूज कर रहे हो तो बड़ा ऐसे ना एक अच्छा इम्पैक्ट आता है, ये वो चीज अच्छी थी ना। एग्जाम्पल्स आप दे रहे थे लास्ट में, जिसमें वो वही अवेयरनेस या जब माइंडसेट चेंज की जब बात करते हैं, कुछ एग्जाम्पल्स दिए जा सकते हैं कि कैसे माइंडसेट चेंज हो सकता है, और जो हम माइंडसेट की बात कर रहे थे फिर उसमें एग्जाम्पल्स दे सकते हैं, रोल मॉडलिंग होती है ना, वो चीजें कि कैसे हम जो सच में, अब स्कीम तो आ गई है बट लोग उसको, अब वही बात है, टॉयलेट बना दिया, अब लोग टॉयलेट यूज नहीं कर रहे हैं, उसमें घास रख रहे हैं, जाओ बाहर ही रहे, तो दरवाजा बंद, बीमारी बंद, जो ऐसे है ना कैंपेन्स हैं ना, इस तरीके से आप कर सकते हो। नुक्कड़ नाटक का यूज हो सकता है, ये सारी चीजें जिससे एक्चुअली, जैसे एक एग्जांपल है, गांव में जाते हैं तो जैसे ओपन डेफिकेशन हुई हुई है तो एक बाल लेते हैं, उसमें लगाते हैं और पानी में डाल देते हैं, बोले पियो, नहीं पीते लोग, है ना, बोले अब क्यों नहीं पी रहे, क्योंकि बोले खराब है, लेकिन बोले जो मक्खी बैठती है और आपके खाने में बैठती है, आप उसको कंज्यूम कर रहे हो, तो एक चेंज इन माइंडसेट, उसके लिए एग्जांपल्स है ना, कुछ अगर इस तरह से प्रेजेंट करें तो अच्छा लगता है। बाकी वी आर इम्प्रेस्ड, सब कुछ ठीक है ना, हम्बल हो, काम पर्सनालिटी, मेच्योरिटी, है ना, भले लास्ट अटेम्प्ट है, वी आर एक्सपेक्टिंग कि आप यू विल गेट थ्रू, इस बार आपका रैंक आएगा,
क्लैरिटी है आपकी बिल्कुल।
वी विश यू ऑल द बेस्ट, है ना, और भगवान की कृपा होगी डेफिनेटली, व्हाटएवर इज एक्सपेक्टेड फ्रॉम अ कैंडिडेट, you possess those qualities. We wish you all the best.
Thank you.